The man simply wore a mask identical to the Grim Reaper. This startled the Supernatural Bureau into emergency preparation. Even the National Wanted list is filled with handsome photos of him. Simply because men awaken the ability to create surprises. Even an ordinary pencil is enough to kill without a trace. But, to help the blind sister receive treatment from the Supernatural Bureau, he still voluntarily entered a prison filled with torture. Just when he thought his sister was about to fully recover. But then he received news that his sister had been buried alive under the rubble. At this moment, Ningfeng looked at his sister's body inside the nutrition pod. His gaze instantly became resolute. After you leave, your sister has awakened her strongest ability. Honkai. Roche Group is based on your sister's abilities. Forcibly extracted part of his supernatural powers. If I had arrived a little later, your sister might be, alright old Meng. Stop it. Let's go. Words fall. Ningfeng walked straight over to a nearby chair. He waved his hand grandly. Red liquid instantly splashed onto the white floor. Seeing this, cold sweat suddenly fell from old Meng's forehead. Ningfeng, are you crazy? Are you sure you want to equip all your limbs into mechanical arms? But there was not a trace of fear on Ningfeng's face. He lightly clicked his tongue. With a blank expression, he stabbed a curved blade hard into his leg. My physical condition isn't strong enough. First, put mechanical limbs on me. As long as it can make the Roche Group pay the price. I am willing to endure any pain I can bear. A few hours later, Ningfeng stretched his new body. One can't help but marvel at old Meng's craftsmanship. But this is exactly the kind of diligent craftsman he is. But Roche Group gouged out its left eye. He could only cling to life in this abandoned warehouse. Old Meng, I think it's still not enough. I need electric current to stimulate my body. It made my cells more active. Hearing this, old Meng was stunned on the spot. He had never thought about it. A once-spirited youth will become what they are now. Are you sure you want to do that? Do you know this could just electrocute you instantly? As old Meng spoke, Ningfeng had already hooked his arm onto the chair. Rather than calling it a healing light chair, it was more like a torturous device. Ningfeng sat on it. Ziguang was unmatched in his resolve. He glanced at his sister lying in the nutrition pod. He completely calmed down. Let's go. I can hold on. Old Meng was so angry his head hurt. But it still gradually increases the current intensity. Accompanied by the sound of the electric chair starting. The current is almost visible to the naked eye, and so it spread over Ningfeng. Ningfeng gritted his teeth. The congested blood vessels clearly revealed the pain he was enduring now. But in the vast warehouse no one screamed at all. Time fell into the night. On the busiest street of Longcheng, car horns honked one after another. A man wearing a mask. He was sharpening the pencil in his hand bit by bit in the corner. Wait, I will use this pencil. Make you, the new generation invisible man, disappear under everyone's watchful eyes. According to old Meng, among the 3 ability users sent by the Luo group to kidnap his sister at that time, the first to strike ruthlessly was Luo Chen. Luo Chen is part of the Luo group, the most prominent superpowered user of the new generation today. Beneath his glamorous appearance, he was a heart of utter poison. Luo Chen. Right now, the range I can cause an accident is 500 meters. But removing you is enough. Ningfeng pressed down his index finger. His cold gaze swept across the street. It was as if he was calculating something. Followed by, a common trash bin by the roadside glowed red. At the same time, the pencil in his hand was also flushed. Is it the same as I calculated? Just put this pen on the trash bin. You, a new generation ability user. It's time to say goodbye to people. Ningfeng's blood surged. Murderous intent surged. The scars that hadn't fully healed still ached. It stimulates his nerves even more. After the unexpected ability evolved. After his unexpected success in calculation. Everyone who needs to participate in this accident will be enveloped in a red glow. Connecting each other into a single line. Ningfeng calls this the path of accidental occurrence. Present, it can be said. Ningfeng just needed to mindlessly put the pencil in his hand properly. And then achieve the ultimate goal of killing Luo Chen. But he suddenly changed his mind. But it was just that simple to let Luo Chen die. That's a bit too merciful. Beneath the black mask was Ningfeng's crazed laughter. Fine, it's better to let you suffer a fate worse than death. I want you to slowly enjoy it amid pain and despair. The idea arose. Ningfeng smiled and resumed the calculations. Ability unleashed. Within a radius of 500 meters. Everything is within the feeling. He glanced at the watch on his right wrist. The time clearly showed 12:30. Unexpected calculations begin. Feel the range of the ability. Ningfeng noticed the middle-aged woman beside him, hugging the little girl and constantly coaxing her. 3 students with backpacks riding bicycles by the roadside at a red light. An elderly person coughing continuously by the trash bin. Next to the bus stop across the street. Facing the girl touching up her makeup mirror. Birds quietly swept past the traffic lights at the intersection. Even the customers coming and going inside the shop building across the street. Luo Chen's invisibility ability not only made him disappear from sight. What's more, in stealth mode, his entire skin will be 10 times harder than diamonds. If you want to kill him, only when his ability hadn't fully activated. His 5 fingers tapped in midair. Objects shrouded in red light lit up one after another in their sight. The traffic lights at intersections changed from red to green. A huge double-decker bus appeared in sight. The red glow was especially striking, and the engine noise of the locomotive echoed heavily behind another street. The wind picked up. The hem of Ning Feng's trench coat trembled with it. The unexpected began. Unexpected and tomorrow. You never know which will come first. The moment the red light turns green. The time on Ning Feng's watch was frozen at 12:32. This time. Ning Feng tugged at the hood of his trench coat. Hide your entire being in the darkness. Without the slightest hesitation. Follow the crowd across the crosswalk. He quickly walked to the street across the street. He then walked toward the old trash bin next to the bus stop, which had peeled paint. His foot stopped 2 bricks from the trash bin. I turned my head to glance at the time. He picked up the sketch pencil in his hand. Arranged according to calculations. He placed the pen perfectly vertically in the upper left corner of the trash bin, and carefully adjusted the angle. The side with the pencil tag print. Facing the crowd waiting at the bus stop sign. Finish it all. Ning Feng glanced at the time. 12:33 is exactly right. Then he pushed up the mask covering his face. Beneath the mask was an undisguised smile, gradually hiding in corners where no one was paying attention to the crowd. In the darkness, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared, watching everything that was about to happen. You. The piercing roar of motorcycle engines echoed behind the traffic. A heavy motorcycle all over in fiery red. And the empty driving position above is eye-catching. Ning Feng's gaze instantly turned vicious. Although the other party remained invisible, but that intense feeling, the hatred in his heart was clear to him. That is the direct line of the Luo group. Luo Chen, the invisible ability holder. He drove his motorcycle around the congested traffic. He was about to ignore the red light and leave. Meanwhile, the pencil Ning Feng had placed in the upper left corner of the trash can. He was shot down by a splash of water from a slowly stopping taxi. Crashed onto the edge of the trash can and flipped down. The crisp sound attracted the elderly waiting at the nearby bus stop. Curious, he got up and tried to pick up the pencil, but accidentally bumped into the woman eating beside him. The other party was instantly at a loss for words. He started coughing violently. Cough, 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 cough. The woman clutched her neck, her face flushed red. Waiting passers-by immediately gathered around to check carefully. I choked so much I had to cough it out. Chaotic sound. It attracted Luo Chen, the invisible man who was about to leave on the motorcycle. He finally removed the invisibility on his head. A head floated above the entire locomotive. The state was quite bizarre. Luo Chen tilted his head and looked at the noisy crowd at the bus stop, and the faces that emerged. He happened to catch the attention of a group of young girls who had just stepped out of a nearby shop. It was Luo Chen. Oh my god. It really is him. I saw the real person. Luo Chen is Luo Chen. Take a picture of it. Young girls dressed provocatively cheered. They all took out their phones and snapped photos of Luo Chen. Luo Chen responded with the sound of the motorcycle engine. You. Then he started walking toward the red light. At the same time, the girls stepped out from the high ground of the commercial building. Construction workers hanging outside the building. Replacement of the building's exterior walls is currently underway. Beneath the glass, the girls' cheers instinctively distracted them to look. Under the collapse, her hands were tied with rope. A huge glass suspended in midair spins at an angle. He refracted the sunlight from above toward Luo Chen, the invisible man driving away. A dazzling light instantly shot into his eyes. The head that had lost its invisibility frowned deeply. Her eyes instinctively closed. But the motorcycle beneath him hadn't slowed down at all. Rushed out directly. Meanwhile, the piercing sound of the bus siren came from Luo Chen's ears. The howling wind was close at Shichi. The bus, still operating normally, maintained its high speed. No one expected Luo Chen to suddenly rush out. The sudden honking and braking were already a step too late. Bang! Several consecutive crashing sounds rang out. The bus arrived in an instant. He smashed the tiny Luo Chen, along with his car, flying away. At high speed it was sent flying backward. His body crashed to the ground. He slid and crashed into a streetlight, He collapsed weakly on the side where Ningfeng was, by the street, the perfectly intact motorcycle just now. At this moment, the ground was already covered in scattered fragments. The tragic car accident erupted in piercing screams from the crowd. Fast! Call an ambulance! Everyone panicked. More and more onlookers gathered. The original intersection became congested and chaotic. Behind the crowd, wearing a mask, Ningfeng retreated farther and farther away. Then, about 20 meters from where Luochun was, he looked up at the massive glass hanging above the building. Then he glanced down at his watch. The time corresponds to 12:35. Ningfeng spoke softly. His right hand made a gesture with 5 fingers spread. The next moment, the massive glass rope that had been tightly bound above the building broke. Tarawa. Under the horrified gazes of the construction workers, the glass shook and fell. The direction of the fall was exactly where he collapsed under the streetlight. Luochun, with bloodstains on his head. He suffered a head injury. At this moment he couldn't precisely control his abilities. The entire person was almost in a non-invisible state. Blood kept streaming from his mouth. In his wrinkled pupils, glass was reflected in the rapidly falling glass. Crash. Amid countless screams, Luochun's figure was buried within countless shards of glass. Blood stained the ground red. The red light turned green again. Ningfeng stepped onto the crosswalk and left. He glanced sideways in the direction where Luochun had fallen. Now, his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Not fear but excitement. He was panting heavily. Rapid heartbeat. Several dozen meters away, Luochun, already half dead, was clearly in sight. Scattered motorcycle debris on the ground bending the streetlights. Buried beneath a large number of glass shards. A direct descendant of the Luo group, covered in blood. Luochun, one of the most popular superpowered users of the new generation. Ningfeng succeeded. This was his first time using his evolved powers to kill someone. The horror before him far exceeded his expectations. That was Luochun, who possessed invisibility abilities. When they were about to forcibly abduct Ningfeng's sister, Ningfeng had no strength to fight back against him. The other person's tough skin couldn't cause even the slightest harm. But for now his fate was unknown. Ningfeng quickly calmed down. Beneath the mask, his crimson eyes shimmered with a strange light. He crossed the street. The corners of his mouth curved into a captivating curve. Behind them, the rapid sound of an ambulance rising and falling came from behind. Ningfeng took one last look at where Luochun was. Then he turned and stepped into a narrow alley between buildings. Disappeared. Luochun won't die today. He did this on purpose. Luochun will not die. At least not today. Just before deciding to act, Ningfeng changed his mind. He wanted Luochun to endure countless pains and despair. And even more cruelly sending them to hell. Luochun was just a sign. My revenge for the dead is only just beginning. A long-abandoned factory in the suburbs of Longqing. It is surrounded on all sides by walls 10 meters high. The walls are also lined with barbed wire filled with high-voltage electricity. ZZ. Continuous welding sounds, as well as the operating sounds of various large machinery and equipment, resonate throughout the entire factory. Look around. The surroundings were in utter chaos. Everywhere you look, discarded mechanical parts of all sizes are listed. An elderly man with a sharp short hair, somewhat graying, wearing severely worn goggles, wearing blue work uniforms. His muscular body is easy to overlook. He is already over 50. At this moment he was frowning. One of the eyes was fully focused on welding the alloy parts in his hand. Stepping on. Clear footsteps echoed. The old man didn't even turn his head. His back. How is it going? Well, it's okay. The owner of the footsteps drew closer and closer. He flipped the hood of his trench coat overhead, revealing the black mask on Ningfeng's face. Old Meng, please check my right hand. There is a bit of delay when the movement is fast. The old Meng Ningfeng mentioned was an old man with his head down welding. He and his sister were saved by old Meng. One is also persecuted by the Roche group, a vengeful man filled with hatred. He and his sister were saved by old Meng. One is also persecuted by the Roche group, a vengeful man filled with hatred. While saying, Ningfeng took off his mask and took off his trench coat, unbuttoning the shirt underneath, shirtless on the upper body. He rolled up his pant legs, revealing a childish look. Her entire face, chin, 2 arms and 2 legs. It was all made of silver-gray alloy. The scars from the struggle ran across his entire upper body. Her red eyes sparkled with a light not belonging to humans. I'll see. Old Meng, with graying hair, put down the tools in his hand. Push up the goggles. Approaching Ningfeng, he slightly lifted the opponent's right arm. He looked up and down with one eye for quite a while. Well, None of the components are faulty. Probably isn't an arm issue. Old Meng patted Ningfeng on the shoulder. You're just too impatient. How long has it been since the prosthetic was installed? You haven't fully adapted to your body yet. Some dysynchronization is normal. Go ahead. Old Meng looked at Ningfeng's face with interest. Compared to, but your face has recovered quite well. Those unlicensed plastic surgeons. His skills are pretty good too. Hearing Old Meng's words, Ningfeng turned his head slightly. He looked at the floor mirror placed nearby. The mirror was a bit dirty, but that didn't stop Ningfeng from seeing clearly inside himself. A completely changed appearance. Twisted scars. But that didn't stop Ningfeng from seeing clearly inside himself. A completely changed appearance. Twisted scars. Limbs replaced by machinery. If plastic surgery fails, I also can't possibly change my identity and re-enter the Roche group. Ningfeng struggling desperately. The first thing he did out of danger was to change his face. Rejoined Roche group. The most dangerous place is the safest place. To completely destroy the Roche group, then you must dive deep into it. Should today's treatment continue? Old Meng's voice came through. He was busy all morning. Aren't you going to take a break? There is no need for this. Ningfeng withdrew his gaze from the mirror, heading toward a huge facility on the right. It was a nutrition pod as tall as 2 people, except for the transparent front. All around are extremely heavy alloy constructions. Inside, bubbles churn with nutrients at night, soaking in one curled up into a ball. A girl dressed in a thin white gown, a head of silver hair, petite figure, eyes closed. Her appearance was exceptionally graceful. He looked about 14 or 15 years old. Light rain. Ningfeng's gaze fell on the girl inside the nutrition pod. She instantly became gentle. His mechanical palm gently pressed against the nutrition pod. Compare with you. Your sister's situation is much more complicated. Old Meng let out a long sigh. He looked up and examined the nutrition pod. Your sister's situation is much more complicated. Old Meng let out a long sigh. He looked up and examined the nutrition pod. His spirit was greatly shaken. The brain is now in a state of self-protection. And, because part of your sister's ability was extracted, therefore various bodily functions are continuously weakening. Fortunately, a few people sent by the Luo group at the time. The extraction was not completely successful. Otherwise, your sister would have been dead by now. The sound of mechanical joints grinding came from Ningfeng's tightly clenched hands. Roche group. Ningfeng's pupils grew even redder, advancing with a captivating light. Start with treatment. It eased his emotions for a moment. Without another word, Ningfeng turned and walked toward a nearby chair. The chair style is quite peculiar. Rather than a chair, it was more like a torture device. Old Meng shook his head and followed along. He helped Ningfeng hook his arm to the armrest of a chair. He then put a conductive helmet over Ningfeng's head. Everyone who awakens their abilities, their physical fitness will far exceed that of ordinary people. But the level of physical strength varies. It's impressive that you came up with the idea of stimulating cellular activity through electric currents. Ways to increase physical strength the day after tomorrow. Old Meng was a bit clever for a while, yet his hands skillfully adjusted the buttons to operate the electric chair. Right now, my ability isn't strong enough. Increasing physical strength is the only preparation you can make. Right now, my ability isn't strong enough. Increasing physical strength is the only preparation you can make. There was no fear on Ningfeng's face. Still at the usual current intensity. Old Meng asked. No. Ningfeng said resolutely. Increase by 50. Double. You are crazy. Just as Old Meng was about to activate the switch, he stared wide-eyed with one big eye. Why didn't you say I could just electrocute you directly? But Ningfeng, sitting in his chair, looked resolute. He glanced at his sister, who was still inside the nutrition pod. Completely calmed down. Doubling the amount. I can hold on. Old Meng's head hurt with anger, but the current was still being pushed up in his hand. He immediately pressed the start button. Buzz crackle. Accompanied by the sound of the electric chair starting. The current is almost visible to the naked eye, and so, it spread throughout Ningfeng's entire body. Roared. Ningfeng gritted his teeth and fell silent. Only beneath the taut flesh was blood congestion. His trembling veins announced his intense pain. Evening. In the busiest area of Longcheng, traffic flows endlessly. Neon lights fill the entire city. On the congested streets, the honking of cars echoed one after another. Occasionally, passenger planes glide across the sky, causing intense noise and vibration. And right in the very center of this bustling area, it is home to a landmark building in Longcheng. Roche Group Headquarters Building. Several hundred meters high, it is considered to reach into the clouds. It is home to a landmark building in Longcheng. Roche Group Headquarters Building. Several hundred meters high, it is considered to reach into the clouds. It was like a steel spike piercing into the heavenly palace. Silver-gray exterior walls. Next to those floor-to-ceiling glass inlays. From time to time you can see cleaners suspended in midair. Inside the Roche Group building. A piercing sound of card swiping at access control came from the lobby on the first floor. Wearing blue workwear featuring the Roche Group logo. Wearing a baseball cap and mask, Ning Feng walked with his head down. He walked into the building with great familiarity. Ning Feng lowered his head slightly. Right hand behind his back. His 5 fingers tapped repeatedly in midair. He wasn't wearing gloves. But the exposed skin was flesh-colored like that of an ordinary person. And not the silver-gray alloy. Not just the limbs. Including the chin. Ning Feng only needed to come to Roche Group as an employee. They will prepare their disguises in advance. Only by being cautious and cautious can you go further. From the moment they entered the building. So he began an unexpected calculation. Coming to the Roche Group headquarters so late. It's not that Ning Feng wants to be a low-level worker who voluntarily works overtime. Although Luo Chun was already lying in the hospital, but in name he was still that female fan countless times. A supernatural star adored by thousands. Ning Feng's revenge goes far beyond the physical level. He wanted to ruin Luo Chen's reputation. The elevator goes up. Only Ning Feng was inside. The elevator goes up. Only Ning Feng was inside. When the floor stops at the 15th floor, he pressed down on the baseball cap on top of his head. Without hesitation he walked out. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, it was empty. All you see is a corridor of self-style. Besides the rooms set up everywhere. The house number is printed in black letters. There are no other colors left. Ning Feng glanced down at his watch. The moment the minute hand points to the number 12. Without hesitation, he quickly walked toward the end of the corridor on his right. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 21 steps. Ning Feng stopped and stood where he was. He lowered his head slightly. He pulled an extremely delicate one out of his jacket pocket. Something like a button. Pressed gently toward the right hand. 1 second, 2 seconds. Click. He rubbed the button in his right hand until it formed a pancake, completely destroyed, then put it back in the pocket. Call. After finishing all this, Ning Feng returned to the elevator. Press the ladder call button. Soon. Bite. The elevator doors opened. Ning Feng walked in and slowly closed the door. Ning Feng's face grew even narrower through the crack in the door. At the same time the elevator began to ascend. The 15th floor's originally empty, pristine white corridor. A wall was pushed open. Several people in white lab coats. And filed out in single file. They argued among themselves. Passing by the elevator, I didn't notice anything unusual. At the same time, top floor of the Roche Group headquarters building. There was a conference room of over 100 square meters. The decor is especially luxurious. Outside the huge floor-to-ceiling windows was the twilight sunset. Sunlight poured down. The room was shrouded in gloom. It looks a bit dim. On one side of the long conference table, several figures stood in CC. Look around. All men dressed in suits and ties. Their suits come in gray and black colors. Standing together in the same color. It represents 2 different departmental groups. The gray ones are the PR team, responsible for Roche Group's external media and public opinion. Maintain the group's image. The black ones are the investigation teams, responsible for various secret investigations throughout the Roche Group. Secretly doing all sorts of shady things. At this moment, they were like stars surrounding the moon. Surrounded by a person dressed in professional attire. Next to a woman wearing rimless glasses. She wears her work badge pinned to her chest. Wu Lan, Secretary General of the Roche Group Secretariat. Bang. A dull sound came. Wu Lan slammed her hand heavily on the conference table in front of her. It left 2 extremely deep marks. What kind of useless people in your PR team are? When you need funds in regular times, aren't they all patting their chests and making promises? Now that something has happened, he can't even say a word. Wu Lan's expression was very grim. Even her glamorous makeup was a bit twisted. She pointed to the large screen behind her. The news broadcast above was exactly noon today. There was a report of the invisible ability user Luo Chun being involved in a car accident in the city center. Bang. Another muffled thud. The palm prints on the table also became symmetrical. Now reports are flooding the internet. If you don't try to suppress it, fine. And your investigation team too. To this day, they haven't even investigated the cause of the accident for me. Just tell me one thing. Lying in the hospital is useless. Wu Lan scolded the people she had tested for quite a while. One by one they dared not breathe. Did they really investigate thoroughly? He spoke angrily again. Finally, someone spoke up. He was a short-haired man. Secretary. After the incident, we immediately went to the scene to investigate. Surveillance of the entire street. They even checked the dashcams of passing vehicles. It was a simple accident. Luo-chan was crossing the street at the red light. It also keeps its head intact. That's why, the short-haired man said as he spoke. He signaled Wulan with his eyes. On the big screen behind them, Luo-chan was repeatedly playing the scene of him riding a motorcycle, speeding through red lights without caring. The scene where both the person and the car were hit and thrown away. Wulan didn't respond immediately. Her chest rose and fell. Frowning, he didn't look at the big screen. He had watched this video countless times. He had already cursed Luo-chan countless times in his heart. He warned him so many times. Be more restrained in your actions. Incorrigible. Wulan was furious. As if he had just thought of something. What was the cause? What was the reason Luo-chan lost his invisibility? Faced with Wu Lan's pressing questioning, several men from the investigation team dressed in black suits. You look at me, I look at you. No one was willing to answer. In the end, it was the short-haired man who spoke up. It was a pen. The short-haired man added another pencil. Pen. Wu Lan frowned. Under her gaze, the short-haired man pulled a dashcam out of his pocket. It connected to that big screen. Soon, the video footage played above. It becomes a video of the inside of the car facing outward. Under the crowded bus stop, a hand wearing black gloves peeks out from the gap. He put the pencil in his hand. It was placed vertically in a corner of the trash bin. Then the car sped past. Water splashes down the pencil. The old man stepped forward to pick it up, accidentally bumped into a pedestrian eating. Then the car sped past. Water splashes down the pencil. The old man stepped forward to pick it up, accidentally bumped into a pedestrian eating. So you want to tell me the reason Luo-chan has now become a useless person? It was all because of a worn-out pencil. Wulan raised an eyebrow. His tone was full of doubt. But for the moment he was powerless. After all, the footage was right there. A series of accidents led to Luo-chan's car accident. She could only sum up the reason with the word unlucky. No matter what, a press conference must be held immediately. Divert public attention. Let's find a few superpowered CP pairings that have been hyped up lately. Breaking a few news stories. Can't be just because of Luo-chan. This affects the group's profitability. Wulan quickly composed herself and gave the order. At the same time, outside the conference room in front of the heavy door, Ningfeng was wearing that blue work uniform. He held a piece of paper material in his hands. He lowered his head and approached the conference room. The footsteps were quick. Suddenly, a puzzled voice came from behind. Xiaofeng, it's so late and you still haven't left. Ningfeng froze for a moment. Stop where you are. Behind him was a man in a suit with slicked back hair. Cigar dangling in his mouth. The tall man with a smile slowly approached. He took a deep drag and exhaled his cigar. The work attitude of this year's outstanding employees is just different. Manager Chen. Ningfeng turned around. The work attitude of this year's outstanding employees is just different. Manager Chen. Ningfeng turned around. His originally cold face forced a faint smile. Calling out, Ningfeng looked up. He raised a document in his hand. I remembered a batch of documents that hadn't been delivered. On the work name tag on his chest, the recorded name was not Ning Feng, but it was Feng Ning. Otherwise it's called an outstanding employee. If only every employee in the group could be like you. Our Roche group has not always been the second largest in the country. Manager Chun in Ning Feng's eyes was so smiling that it was slit. Ning Feng, on the other hand, gave a fake smile but didn't smile physically. Stepping on. The sound of hurried footsteps interrupted their conversation. A female secretary dressed professionally. He was holding a tablet. He hurried toward the conference room behind Ningfeng. Call. Manager Chun took a deep drag of his cigar. Tun Yun exhaled mist, looking as if watching a show. It doesn't look good. Xiaofeng, you shouldn't leave either. I guess you'll need to clean this meeting room later. With that, he headed toward the conference room. As his figure passed by Ningfeng's side, the forced smile on Ningfeng's face instantly faded. He pressed down on the baseball cap on top of his head. He quietly followed after him. Can anyone tell me what the hell is going on? In the conference room, Wu Lan's hair was disheveled. Can anyone tell me what the hell is going on? In the conference room, Wu Lan's hair was disheveled. The look behind the rimless glasses was full of disbelief. How did these things get so brazenly posted on so many platforms? The group invested so much money. Whenever someone releases news unfavorable to the group, will be removed immediately by the respective platform. This is an unspoken cooperation between us. Then can someone tell me? Why are there dozens of scandals about Luo-chan? All of them are crammed onto the trending lists online. The game is high and does not fall. Wu Lan's voice was a bit hoarse. His expression showed signs of collapse. 4 years ago, Longcheng's sleepless city bar. Luo Chun and the same 2 Luo group demonic ability users forcibly abducted 3 female university students, maliciously causing death, but it was only treated coldly as simple compensation. 3 years ago, Luo Chun drove after drinking, driving against traffic on the Longcheng Ring Expressway late at night. He ran over and dragged a pregnant woman over 200 meters. In the end, even his driver's license was not revoked. A year ago, Luo Chun won the trust of a female fan, together with many people. March this year. Earlier this month, each offense is enough to warrant the death penalty. It shocked today's internet. Major media outlets rushed to report and share the news. The hype kept rising layer after layer. Damn it, really damn it. Wu Lan looked at the scandalous reports about Luo Chun on her tablet. Damn it, really damn it. Wu Lan looked at the scandalous reports about Luo Chun on her tablet. He trembled with anger. Click. The sound of the tablet screen shattering came from under his hand. Check it out for me. Who exactly posted these things? Find it out for me. I will tear him apart alive. Wu Lan was visibly excited. Until it reaches the palm of the hand, layers of animal fur began to appear. The nails gradually become pointed and longer. The pupil behind the rimless eyes. It also takes on a yellowed almond shape. Facing Wu Lan, who was about to lose control, everyone around remained silent. Some even instinctively retreated a little, afraid of becoming a scapegoat. Who did this offend our beautiful Secretary General? Why are you so furious? She screamed. The thick doors of the conference room were pushed open with great ease. Manager Chun, still holding a cigar, arrived before the sound arrived. Manager Chun. A series of greetings came from the subordinates in the meeting room. Wu Lan, who had almost revealed her true form just now. At this moment, both hands rested on the table, although the corner of the table was crushed into pieces, but it was already quite restrained. Claws, hair, and pupils, all returned to their normal human appearance. What are you coming? Wu Lan said coldly. If I don't come, you're going to tear down this meeting room. Manager Chun came from Ning Feng's hand behind him. He took the handicap of documents and placed them on the conference table. Then he glanced at the female secretary who had come to report. He bowed slightly. So did you find out where these rumors were uploaded online? Facing Manager Chen's sudden approach. Although the other party was smiling, but it was like a massive shadow. It was enveloped by the female secretary. The latter trembled all over. He stammered as he spoke. Examine. I found it. This is compliance, this is accepted. Which? Say. Manager Chun suddenly raised his voice. It was uploaded from the 15th floor computer room of the headquarters building. The female secretary stammered. He nearly collapsed to the ground. As soon as these words came out. Just moments ago, Wu Lan had been preparing to go and arrest people directly. His eyes widened. He stepped forward and pushed Manager Chen aside. He grabbed the female secretary by the collar. Say it again, where is it? B. The computer room on the 15th floor. That's why those media outlets make such a big deal out of it. I thought this was our group's decision. He wanted to abandon Luo Chen. The female secretary finished speaking. He looked just like a little chick. Wu Lan casually tossed it to the ground. Suddenly, a sense of something terrible and bad welled up in Wu Lan's heart. Damn it. I should have thought of it a long time ago. She was staring intently at the big screen behind her. The video of Luo Chen's accident kept playing. That palm holding the pencil. She was staring intently at the big screen behind her. The video of Luo Chen's accident kept playing. That palm holding the pencil. Deeply engraved in his heart. Not an accident. Luo Chen's accident was not an accident. Someone deliberately staged an accident. Fooled us all. The more Wu Lan thought about it, the more anxious she became. The car accident footage kept playing on the screen. It was like a sharp knife piercing her heart. But Luo Chun was seriously injured after running a red light and getting into a car accident. Manager Chun gave him a slight look. He broke the cigar with his bare hands. This is exactly what puzzles me the most. Wu Lan lowered her head slightly, gnawing at the nails of his right hand. The person who uploaded these scandals. Coincidentally, it happened to coincide with the unified monitoring maintenance under the 20th floor of the group building today. You can even sneak into the 15th floor server room without anyone noticing. This person is most likely someone from within our company. Manager Chun sneered. He repeatedly reviewed the surveillance footage of Luo Chen's accident. And video recording from various angles. From start to finish, there were so many video angles. This is the person who placed the pencil. Yet he has never appeared on screen. Interesting. I'm really curious about what his abilities are. No matter what ability he has, all came prepared. Wu Lan frowned deeply and walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window on the inside of the conference room. Manager Chun also leaned over. The two looked down through the glass. In front of the main entrance steps at the base of the building. Manager Chun also leaned over. The two looked down through the glass. In front of the main entrance steps at the base of the building. Reporters from major media outlets were packed densely. They were all scrambling to squeeze in. First, solve the immediate trouble. Let's see if we can find some clues from Luochen. Wu Lan muttered to herself. This entire meeting room. Everyone's face was shrouded in gloom. Because of the enemy who had been secretly causing this chaos. In the corner, Ning Feng was dressed in work clothes. His gaze fixed on the two standing by the floor-to-ceiling window. His gaze was sinister and terrifying. Wu Lan and Chun Mo. Luochen, it will be your turn soon. Through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, the sunset had almost disappeared. The new moon just rose. The city was bustling with lights. Ning Feng, in the corner, trembled slightly. It seemed like he was suppressing his emotions. He stared intently at the two figures by the window. Behind him, his 5 fingers kept tapping in midair. Among the 3 people sent by the Luo group to forcibly take his sister. Except for Luochen. The remaining 2 were right in front of him. 6 days. 6 more days. The 5 fingers tapping in midair suddenly stopped. His manic gaze returned to calm. He cleaned up the corner of the table that Wu Lan had crushed. Leaving unnoticed. The evening breeze was a bit strong. He was about to lift the brim of Ning Feng's hat. He stood under the Roche Group building. Gazing from below to above. He was about to lift the brim of Ning Feng's hat. He stood under the Roche Group building. Gazing from below to above. In the dark night, this high-level building felt even more eerie and chilling. With my current strength. Still not enough to deal with Chun Mo. Ning Feng's mind stirred. Now, a semi-transparent data panel appeared. Visible only to himself. Ning Feng's ability level is Gamma Gamma. Unexpected expansion of supernatural powers. Ability progress. 3100. This is the so-called system. It allows me to max out my abilities every time I reach my limit. This will lead to an evolution. That's why I moved from the original Delta Delta level. It unexpectedly evolved into a Gamma Gamma level unexpected expansion. But it's unlikely they'll evolve again in the short term. Ning Feng withdrew his thoughts. The semi-transparent panel immediately disappeared. He took one last look at the Roche Group building. Then he turned and left. Although they are also Gamma Gamma level ability users. But Chun Mo seemed to belong to the strongest group. Dealing with it now is a bit tricky. Then I'll have to put up with Wu Lan, and you can be the next prey. In the dark, he rubbed his eyes with his hand. The ordinary person's pitch-black eyes returned to their original blood-red hue. The night is getting darker, like a demon that chooses to devour people. One last thing before returning to the factory. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of Ning Feng's mouth. The reaction online was so overwhelming. If the person involved is completely unaware. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of Ning Feng's mouth. The reaction online was so overwhelming. If the person involved is completely unaware. Isn't it a pity? At this moment he wanted to take a look. Returned from a car accident where glass fell from a height. Luo Chen now semi-vegetative and half-vegetated. According to the arrangements of the Roche Group, Luo Chen was to be transferred back to the group's in-house care room tonight. Other words, I can make a move during the process of transferring him. So how should doctors be transferred? Under the watchful eyes of the guards and others, they approached Luo Chen. Outside Longcheng University affiliated hospital. A figure muttered to himself. He extended his 5 fingers and tapped into the air. Unexpected calculations begin. At 1 a.m. late at night, for 5 consecutive years, it has been rated as the largest in Longcheng. The top-tier hospital with the best medical standards. The inpatient department of Longcheng University affiliated hospital. The facilities inside the building are extremely luxurious. Chain supermarkets, copy milk tea shop. Even the cafe is displayed there. It doesn't feel like a hospital. It looks more like a bustling commercial building. By elevator lobby on the first floor of the inpatient department. And installed the elevator. The door slowly opened. A doctor wearing a white coat and glasses. 2 fully armed guards. And Luo Chen, who was on a mobile hospital bed with an 4 drip. At this moment, his entire body was tightly wrapped in bandages and gauze. Only the eyes and nostrils were still exposed. The once dazzling new generation of superpowered users. At this moment, all he could do was lie in bed and wait for death. Right? It's me. What now? Alright, I'll go up right away. From the name tag on the doctor's chest. The doctor's name was written as Wang XX. just as she was about to step out of the elevator. He then received a call from the hospital. You go to the car first. I'll be right back. After saying this, Dr. Wang pressed the elevator button on the 13th floor himself, as the elevator doors closed. In the corner of the hospital lobby, 10 meters from the elevator hall, a figure was also dressed in a white coat, wearing glasses. The name tag on his chest reads Wang Mumu. He looked exactly like Dr. Wang, who was supposed to take the elevator upstairs. Only the black pupils remained. A fleeting flash of red light adds a touch of striking beauty. At this moment, Dr. Wang glanced down at the watch on his wrist. Time points to 1:06. He began to slowly walk toward the entrance of the inpatient department. But his steps moved extremely slowly. The journey was originally 10 ordinary meters. Took about 2 minutes before he finished. During this process, he has brushed past 4 family members who have accompanied him. He also heard the cart behind him carrying goods to the supermarket. The rope snaps, and the noise of goods falling is noisy. Throughout, he didn't look anywhere at all. Throughout, he didn't look anywhere at all. A watch that always stays on the wrist with its own light. But even so, yet it always manages to avoid passing pedestrians by perfect coincidence. And several water stains on the ground. When the time reached 1:08, Ning Feng had just appeared outside the inpatient building disguised as Dr. Wang. Right before his eyes. Responsible for escorting Luo Chun to the Luo family group's sedan. It was glowing with a faint red glow. So fast. The accompanying guard stationed at the black sedan. Seeing Dr. Wang return so quickly, a look of surprise appeared on his face. Hurry up. Ning Feng put on the white shield. Without much explanation, he opened the rear door of the carriage and entered. A strange smile appeared beneath the mask. She subtly stared at Luo Chun, who was lying on a hospital bed with her eyes closed. We met again. He stubbed out his cigarette and casually tossed it to the ground. Step on it. The 2 accompanying guards also entered the rear compartment. Inside the spacious carriage, for people plus 1 hospital bed felt a bit cramped. Bang bang bang. He patted the fully enclosed metal plate that separated him from the cab. The guard called out, "Let's go." The next moment the engine started. The vehicle left the inpatient department. And about 2 minutes later, by the time the sedan escorting Luo Chen had already disappeared at the end of the road, the real Dr. Wang hurried out. Panting. He glanced left and right at the vast open space in front of the inpatient department. There was not a trace of a sedan at all. He was instantly left with question marks. Where's the car? Carefully searched for a moment. The chief doctor shook his head helplessly. Glanced at the time. Before I can leave, I'll be leaving first. It was just right to get off work earlier. Nothing can happen. If the Luo group asks, no way. You have to clean yourself up. With that, he turned and left. In the early morning, traffic on the main roads in Longqing City remains quite busy. Coming and going. The speed was a bit faster than in the morning. And a black sedan. It was rapidly overtaking and moving forward. Having to come out and work in the middle of the night. Exhausted, you die. Can't someone else come instead? He still has to be on duty tomorrow. Alright, stop complaining. Inside the carriage, 2 guards leaned against their seats, complaining continuously. Meanwhile, Ning Feng remained silent in the corner. He discreetly glanced at the watch on his wrist. It's time at 1:20. Ning Feng silently muttered to himself. The next moment, bang. A loud noise came from outside the carriage. This was followed by a violent slam to the brakes. A violent crash came from outside the sedan. 急刹之下, the hospital bed in the rear compartment was originally secured. Sliding forward under inertia. Bang. Caught off guard, the car crashed into the interior. Deeply embedded marks remain on the front and rear partitions. The 2 accompanying guards also collapsed inside the vehicle. The knock hurts. He didn't notice at all. The seemingly frail doctor in the corner remained completely motionless. Rather than saying it was completely unmoving, it was more like he was gripping the seat tightly with his hand before the sudden brake. It was as if he had anticipated it in advance. How do you drive like this? The guard who got up from the ground. Angrily, he banged on the partition with his hand. He vented his frustration toward the driver's seat. The truck loading in front was scattered all over the ground. I can't help it either. The driver responded innocently. Wait a moment. I'll go see the situation. Hurry up. If it really doesn't work, just take a detour. The guard was extremely impatient. As he spoke, he didn't forget to rub the area he had scraped. But from beginning to end, no one cared about Luo Chun, who lay in a hospital bed, wrapped in bandages all over. Did you get hurt during the sudden braking just now? Ning Feng sat in the corner, watching all this with a cold eye. Watch the watch as the time ticks by, second by second. I sat in the car and waited for 3 or 4 minutes. Still, the driver was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the increasingly loud argument came from outside the car. The 2 accompanying guards inside the carriage had completely lost patience. He signaled Ningfeng, the doctor, to take good care of Luo Chen. Then he pushed open the rear carriage door to check the situation. That's it. The originally crowded rear trunk instantly became much more spacious. And the 4 of them also became 2 figures. One sitting intact. A tragic patient lying in a hospital bed. The timing is just right. A long silence arose. Ningfeng, in the corner, left his watch and gazed away. Red flickered beneath his pitch-black pupils. He slowly stood up, bending over. Looking down at Luo Chen on the hospital bed nearby, he looked down from above. On the bed frame, inside the hanging for bottle, the nutrient solution dripped down bit by bit. Instruments for monitoring ECG. Beep beep. Luo Chen lay on the bed, eyes tightly shut. The faint breath proved he was still alive. A car accident occurred and something fell from a high altitude. 2 consecutive accidents. It puts you in a semi-vegetative state. All over the body, except for the eyes, all other parts were immobile. They couldn't even speak or speak. Ningfeng took off his mask. This helps make your voice clearer for the other person to hear. On his expressionless face, only his eyes revealed undisguised murderous intent. Didi. Ningfeng's words seemed to have provoked Luo Chen, who was lying in the hospital bed. On his expressionless face, only his eyes revealed undisguised murderous intent. Didi. Ningfeng's words seemed to have provoked Luo Chen, who was lying in the hospital bed. Connected to the ECG device, the previously stable ECG began to fluctuate. The beeping sounds grew even more urgent, but his eyes remained tightly shut, seeing no reaction from the other party. Instead, a faint smile appeared on Ningfeng's face. He leaned close to the hospital bed. He spoke slowly and quietly. I know you can hear me. The once dazzling new generation of superpowered users. Now she can only spend the rest of her life lying in bed. It's really pitiful. It was said to have been an unfortunate accident. But was it really a surprise? The tone suddenly changed. It instantly opened Luo Chen's tightly shut eyes on the hospital bed. He stared intently at Ningfeng in front of him. But the other person's face, he was absolutely certain. Aside from meeting a few times during hospital rounds, we have no connection in this life. Do you want to know? Who harmed you? Ningfeng's eyes narrowed slightly. A mysterious smile. Luo Chen couldn't answer. But the rapid ECG device has already proven the answer. Ningfeng looked at Luo Chen with a strange expression. No more words were spoken. He took out a phone from his body. Tap lightly with your finger. A video clip popped up. The footage was shot from a first-person perspective. She even thoughtfully brought the screen close to Luo Chen's eyes. Luo Chen's eyes darted around quickly. The footage was shot from a first-person perspective. She even thoughtfully brought the screen close to Luo Chen's eyes. Luo Chen's eyes darted around quickly, staring intently at the screen. The video is very short. He could see clearly. Videographer. It was standing next to a bus stop by the roadside. He placed a pencil on the trash can with his hand. Next came passing cars. An old man picking up a brush. Piersby rushing to get in the way, and riding a motorcycle. Luo Chen himself had removed head invisibility. A series of chain reactions connect layer by layer, end to end, until the end. The image is frozen among glass shards buried high in the sky. Luo Chen, covered in blood. Crackle. Phone lock screen turned off. Luo Chen, paralyzed all over, now widened his eyes. His breathing was extremely rapid. Didi. The rapid sound of the ECG machine was especially piercing. Ningfeng seemed to have thought of something. He smiled playfully. Quickly search on your phone. He continued to show it to Luo Chen for viewing. He also gave just the right amount of oral explanation. I almost forgot to tell you, although now you've become a cripple, available online, has been trending for quite some time. Spray. How ironic. Before the incident everything was peaceful. Something happened and all the past scandals were released all at once. The most prominent superpowered user of the new generation. Something happened and all the past scandals were released all at once. The most prominent superpowered user of the new generation. Ningfeng paused. He slowly shook his head. His smile was a bit wild. I think. Nowadays it's fair to call them the most disgusting losers of the new generation. Ahahaha. Didi. Rapid fluctuations in the ECG. Luo Chen was even struggling to breathe. Here's a special piece of news for you. The pen on the trash can. And then there are all the scandals online. All of them are my creations. Beneath Ningfeng's dark pupils, the blood-red glow was faintly barely concealed. Do you remember that blind girl who was about to forcibly take away her Honkai powers? Veins bulged as Ningfeng spoke. His entire body radiated an undisguised killing intent. Luochen lay on the bed. His pupils suddenly contracted, filled with a childlike expression. Didi. He struggled desperately, but his body didn't move at all. Endless despair filled his heart at this moment. Only now did he realize. Why had he fallen to such a predicament? Whether you remember it or not. But I remember it all too clearly. I remember that day you broke my limbs with your own hands. Even tore off my jaw, leaving me unable to move. Shouting is not allowed. Today let you taste that too. A terrifying smile appeared on Ningfeng's face, while saying. While rummaging from the pockets of his coat, he took out a syringe. Inside was a yellowish-brown liquid. But a cripple can't keep a secret completely. I was going to spare your life. See with your own eyes the collapse of the Roche group. Looks like you're not so lucky. If anyone wants to blame that wretch Wulon. Determined to get some useful information out of you. You know too. Only the dead can keep secrets completely. It leaves a person completely paralyzed. Physically destroy each other. So Ningfeng caused an accident, causing a person to be ruined and disgraced. Destroy the other in society. As a result, Ningfeng uploaded a large amount of negative information, plunging a person into despair, mentally breaking down the other person. So Ningfeng told him this was revenge. And the last step. He wanted Luochen to endure the most unbearable torment in the world. Died in pain and silence. That is, to foresee his death date in advance. Let him regret being human as he counts down to death. See the syringe I'm holding? Ningfeng took off the cap from the syringe in his hand. The needle tip flashed with a cold gleam. Inside is what is inside. It is something that is destined to poison and kill the most advanced gamma and gamma ability users. It directly acts on the brain's nerve centers. It causes people to die enduring the agony of countless ants gnawing at the brain. It directly acts on the brain's nerve centers. It causes people to die enduring the agony of countless ants gnawing at the brain. What do you think? Like it? This is something I went to great effort to get. A smile hung on Ningfeng's face. His smile was strange. Paired with those eyes faintly glowing red, it was especially irritating. Watching the syringe get closer and closer. Lying in his hospital bed, Luochen experienced for the first time what it meant to be a torment worse than death. Fear and despair. He wanted to shout and roar, but couldn't utter a single sound. So powerless. Luochen stared downward, his eyes rolling. He wanted to look toward the tightly closed carriage door. He wanted to seek help from the two accompanying guards. All of this was clearly visible to Ningfeng, and the constant beeping of the ECG machine was announcing the gradual collapse of Luochen's psychological defenses. Hush, my heartbeat was too loud. Don't worry, it won't hurt. Bai Jing, you're completely paralyzed right now, completely unconscious. If you want to count on those two guards, it's better to save effort. In my calculations, they won't be coming back for now. As Ningfeng spoke, he twisted Luochen's neck with his hand. Gently pushed the syringe toward the blood vessels in their neck. The yellowish-brown liquid was all pushed in. The drug takes about 40 minutes to take effect. You can enjoy the final moments of your life. Lin Feng reassured her with a smile. Don't worry. I'll send more people to keep you company soon. You can enjoy the final moments of your life. Lin Feng reassured her with a smile. Don't worry. I'll send more people to keep you company soon. You're welcome. Finish it all. He quietly put away all the props. He even thoughtfully removed the ECG device attached to Luochen. The entire carriage returned to calm once again. At this moment, the time had reached 1:31. Click. The previously tightly closed rear door of the carriage opened again. Two escorts got out to check the situation. He returned to the car with a sour expression. Depend on. Taking out missions late at night is already quite exhausting. And to deal with such a troublesome fool. He overturned the truck while hauling goods himself. All the cars were stuck behind him. If it weren't for the higher-ups ordering no show of force, I left long ago. He didn't need to put up with this annoyance. The two of them cursed and sat back down in their seats. He glanced briefly at Luochen, who was still gasping for breath on the hospital bed, so he didn't pay much attention. Soon, after the sedan restarted and drove for 20 minutes, he had just arrived at the Roche group. Now the patient is out of danger. However, he was completely paralyzed. Cannot improve effectively in a short period of time. Below the Roche group headquarters building, Ningfeng disguised himself as Dr. Wang. He was handing over to the staff who had come to meet him. Why was he staring at Qing the whole time? It was as if he had been frightened. The handover staff frowned. Ask Ningfeng. Hearing this, the latter calmly took out his phone. He turned on the flashlight and shone it into Luo Chen's eyes. This is normal. The patient had just regained consciousness, realizing that their bodies are immobilized. This feeling is similar to sleep paralysis. Feeling scared is normal. It will get better after a while. Ning Feng smiled faintly. Finally, he glanced at himself and glared at him fiercely. Luo Chen was filled with despair and fear. He gave a brief explanation. Then, under everyone's gaze, he turned and left. The night was deep. Ning Feng, dressed in a white lab coat, was concealed in the darkness. Disappeared. As time passed, when the node reaches 2:11 and 2 seconds a.m., a mixed gasp echoed from inside the Roche Group building. He was originally lying peacefully in the hospital bed. Luo Chen was sent to the group's special care room. Suddenly, his eyes became bloodshot. Then it exploded. His nose, mouth, ears were all bleeding profusely. With so many people around him at a loss, he struggled for 3 or 4 minutes before barely dying. Syllable. The next morning, a somewhat heavy slap echoed through the Roche Group building. A voice came from an office on the upper floor. Rubbish. You can't do this little thing well. With her hair slicked back, her face looked a bit pale. The young man's eyes were bloodshot. He mercilessly slapped Wu Lan across the face. The latter covered his swollen face. The atmosphere does not dare to breathe. Lowering my head, letting my hair fall as it will. You might wonder who you relied on to reach your current position. That's how you repay me. When the person arrived, it was still fine. As soon as I was admitted to the nursing room, he ran out of breath in less than 5 minutes. What do you useless people even do? The young man was furious. So he stepped forward. A hand gripped Wu Lan's fair, slender neck. He lifted him completely off the ground. Immediately, the latter's face flushed red. His limbs instinctively struggled. The group's most valued new generation ability user. He was blatantly killed. You still haven't found a single clue? The young man swung it hard. He threw Wu Lan to the ground. Cough, cough. Ahem. The latter began to cough urgently. Clutching his neck to calm down for a moment, he panicked and got up. The response was a bit hoarse. We have identified the suspected target. He was present at the car accident that day. The initial suspicion was that someone inside the company was involved. The young man closed his eyes. He let out a long breath. They had to dig to the bottom and find out this guy. My recent ability hasn't been stable. Don't bother me until you find a definite result. With that, he slammed the door and left. Wu Lan was left alone, clutching her flushed neck. His eyes were vicious as he stared in the direction the other had left. A second-generation rich kid who started out of the family. If it weren't for us bringing back the ability transplant for you, he probably didn't know where he had been exiled to some small place for a long time. Dang dang. The crisp sound of hammering echoed inside the suburban factory, dragging my tired body, shedding all disguises. Ning Feng, having returned to his original appearance, returned. He expressionlessly chewed on the pitch-black energy bar in his hand. In his crimson eyes he schemed for unknown terror. Deal with Luo Chen. His proficiency with supernatural abilities had finally improved a bit. Next is waiting for the right moment. Send Wu Lan down to keep him company. Ning Feng's ability level. Gamma ability unexpectedly expanded. Ability progression. 15,100. A semi-transparent panel floated before Ning Feng's eyes. The ability progress above has also increased from the original 3 to 15. Only by using superpowers can you successfully defeat the enemy. Only then can progress be increased. Other words, Luo Chen can only provide me with a 12-point progress. Only by using superpowers can you successfully defeat the enemy. Only then can progress be increased. Other words, Luo Chen can only provide me with a 12-point progress. The points are really low. Ning Feng shook his head helplessly and looked toward the inside of the factory. Old Meng was holding a large hammer and shattering fire, forging something, accompanied by the clanging of iron. And from the old radio nearby, the continuous sound of news reports kept coming. This morning, Roche Group, the largest ability user company in Longcheng, held a press conference. Claims to have signed with the invisible Luo Chen from the original team. Due to severe injuries, he passed away despite rescue efforts. According to the head of Roche Group, a series of illegal acts against Luo Chen. The Luo Group was unaware and strongly reprimanded. However, he will cooperate with the police investigation and compensate the victim's family accordingly. The head of Roche Group emphasized, since its founding, the Roche Group always strictly regulates the ability users under its command. Ning Feng sneered and turned off the broadcast, abandoning their soldiers to defend their homes. This really is the usual style of the Roche Group. Old Meng, busy with blacksmithing, saw his broadcast being turned off. She stared regretfully at Ning Feng beside her. Hey no. I'm listening right now. The rest were just the Luo group's brainwashing tactics outside. Waste of time. Ning Feng chewed and swallowed the last bite of the energy bar in his hand. He slumped heavily into the electric chair behind him. Ning Feng chewed and swallowed the last bite of the energy bar in his hand. He slumped heavily into the electric chair behind him. Isn't it not about coming back? Are you addicted to electricity? Old Meng could tell what the other party was up to, quite speechless. You're going out to mess around all night. She wouldn't sleep and was forced to get on the electric chair. You must have a tendency toward being masochistic. I have to hurry. Just turn on the power and set the time. Strike when needed. It won't delay you. Ning Feng's expression remained unchanged. He calmly glanced to the side. Inside that huge nutrition pod, my sister was still asleep. 5 days left. Wait a little longer. Those beasts who have hurt you. Each one must pay the price for this. Back when he went to the Luo group to upload dirt on Luo Chen, Ning Feng used his abilities to deduce. Calculate the path for the next unexpected event. One was against the Secretary General of Roche Group. The accidental death of Cat Claw Girl Wu Lan. How to do so with a perfect alibi. Eliminate Wu Lan. The answer was at 5:30 p.m. on April 7. Wu Lan will finish the media interview and head to the conference room to organize materials. 5:40 p.m. Using an untraceable number, he called Wu Lan's private phone. At 5:43 p.m., after 3 consecutive calls and a second hang-up, Zhongyu spoke. Claiming to be an informant, he proposed a private meeting with Wu Lan. 6:01 p.m. Next to the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Roche Group's rooftop conference room. Claiming to be an informant, he proposed a private meeting with Wu Lan. 6:01 p.m. Next to the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Roche Group's rooftop conference room. Introduced Wu Lan to the idea for an unexpected business trip. At 6:11 in the afternoon under Wu Lan's mocking gaze. Pour it a glass of high-proof liquor. Left the Roche Group building at 6:15 p.m. At the end of the building stairs. Stop on the left side of the second-to-last streetlight. At the same time, the previously cloudy sky was 232 meters above the ground. Workers working on a makeshift suspended platform. He noticed that the operator of the tower crane behind him was experiencing heart paralysis and shock. A tower crane that lost control, pulling heavy platform racks, crashed into the floor-to-ceiling window glass in front of her. Bang clatter. A series of explosive sounds echoed. Wu Lan, the cat paw girl with her supernatural powers. It was hooked by an iron hook on the platform frame. The belt at his waist was thrown outside the building wall. Once the path of the real body's accident is predicted, Ning Feng couldn't help but feel emotional. With the continuous use of unexpected expansion capabilities, the path you predict when performing calculations becomes clearer. He could almost imagine it in his mind. Witness the scene that is about to unfold. The details are also incredibly authentic. I wonder what level the ability will reach if it continues to evolve. In the midst of emotion, Ning Feng's heart surged with excitement. April 7. Then let Wu Lan live a few more days. His gaze returned to Ning Feng, who was sitting in the electric chair inside the factory. Ning Feng's heart surged with excitement. April 7. Then let Wu Lan live a few more days. His gaze returned to Ning Feng, who was sitting in the electric chair inside the factory. Noticing that old Meng had gotten up and fixed his hands and feet, after pushing the electric chair switch, accompanied by a piercing sizzling sound. Visible arcs spreading with the naked eye, moving through Ning Feng's entire body. The intense pain made Ning Feng feel as if his whole body was about to explode. Pupils are bloodshot, veins bulged. His whole body trembled uncontrollably. But even so, he still didn't make a sound. Clench your teeth tightly. Even as blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, he didn't call for a stop. Orphan origin. Possesses gamma-level abilities. Nicknamed the Cat Claw Girl. At 12, he was adopted by a branch of the Roche Group. At 15, he officially joined Roche Group. From the very bottom employees. It took him 10 years to become Secretary General of the Secretariat. Bao Qing has a quirky personality. He was a heavy drinker for years, unable to control his powers after drinking. 6 members were seriously injured without cause. Within 3 years of becoming Secretary General. Using illegal means to cover up the Roche Group, big and small. Hundreds of serious accidents. Embezzling hundreds of millions in employee compensation. This directly caused dozens of families to collapse. Use your position to seize medical resources, resulting in 2 children under 10 years old. Death due to inability to receive timely and effective treatment, resulting in 2 children under 10 years old. Death due to inability to receive timely and effective treatment. Ning Feng silently recounted Wu Lan's crimes in his mind. Every single one was filled with resentment, anger, and murderous intent. A body struggling in the current. Only those crimson eyes remained unwaveringly determined from beginning to end. He recalled how the Luo group had come to forcibly take his sister away. When Ningfeng was torn off all 4 limbs, the younger sister knelt before Wu Lan. He begged desperately to spare Ningfeng a way out. Can be exchanged. It was Wu Lan who landed one slap after another on Ningfeng's sister's face. It was also the syringe of the device that would extract the spinal cord of an esper. He inserted it into Ningfeng's younger sister's neck. Snap. The sound of slaps rang out. Ningfeng still cannot forget it. Heartbroken. And boundless fury. Life and death are in the hands of others. Family members suffer before their eyes. I hate him. He hated himself for being powerless. Success. A powerful electric current passed through Ningfeng's body. A beast's low growl came from his throat. And the timing for electric chairs has come to an end. Ningfeng gasped for breath. His whole body was drenched in cold sweat. He looked at his sister inside the nutrition pod. A flash of softness passed through his eyes, replaced by a furious roar of gritted teeth.